Welcome, good viewers. We start this episode off with a Starship Harley-Davidson. Off the showroom floor of Mzansi Harley in Fourways. It's the new Road Glide Special. And it is a special motorcycle indeed. Of course, it's huge. Something Harley has done for quite a long time. Generally, the word glide in a Harley model title means it's a long distance tourer. And comfort means volume. Lots and lots of it. Historically, the glides have been a little over the top in terms of the amount of metal in their construction and the accompanying gravity associated with lots and lots of metal. In other words, when the glide is up and running, all is well. However, when any sort of change in motion occurs, Newton has a bit of a hissy fit and throws all sorts of his laws into the mix. Surely it must be the same with this beast of a machine. Sean Hendley from ridefast.co.za disagrees.
So the first thing I want to talk about on this big Harley-Davidson, and for me, the measure of any bike is how easy they are to turn. We spend a hell of a lot of time doing U-turns. And if a bike is big and cumbersome and clumsy, and the weight is all over the place, or the weight is not set up properly, and the suspension is not lacquer, and the geometry of the bike is not lacquer, they really are difficult, and you almost end up dropping the bike on doing a U-turn. Let me just flip this one around quickly. Look at that. Easy as pie. Immediately that tells me that this bike is well balanced, good center of gravity, well sorted geometry, just really lacquer to ride.
The operating weight of the Road Glide is 380 kilograms, which is a lot of kilograms, but not so much for a cruise liner like this one. Also, nowadays Harley is box smart with where they put all these kilograms, shoving them lower down near the road, and also squeezing them together so that the center of gravity is not only low down, but compacted to the center. It's amazing the impact that makes.
What I like about this bike, and it's a bit of counterintuitive, you won't expect this from a big Harley-Davidson 117 cubic inches, is it actually handles the bends quite lacquer. Watch this. Roll on in third gear, change gears, head into a corner, keep on going, stable as can be, absolutely stable as can be. You can really crank this thing over. It's actually quite amazing.
While the Road Glide can do a spot of speedboating, it's still in essence a long distance cruiser.
Let's talk quickly about the rider triangle. I'm 2 meters tall, nice high handlebars that look like ape hangers. The footboards I find are a little bit too far back for me. Naturally I'd like to put my feet a little bit forward, but right then I'm doing an old 1960s, 1950s surfer move called a hang 10, and hanging 10 of my toes over the front of the floorboards. In a car you've got a backrest. It gives you nice back support. Bike, your lower back starts taking strain after a couple of hours. With this bucket seat that Harley have put on this bike, it gives you a nice lower back support. So you're really going to be comfortable.
Of course, there's also air conditioning.
Then part of the comfort is this big fairing up front. Little bikini fairing up here, little screen up here. It's enough to knock the air over my head at 2 meters tall on the bike. Then it's got down the side here, it's got these lacquer little vents which you can either keep the air on you, or you can direct the air away from you just by opening and closing those vents left and right. Then you've got another one up here on the dashboard, which you can also open and close at will. If you're too hot, you open. If it's too cold, you close it.
The top fairing is part of the frame and doesn't turn with the bars. The downside of this is that the massive new headlight doesn't shine in the direction you're turning. The upside is that the steering is far lighter and easier to control. While the more gangster Harleys are known for having almost no suspension, the touring Road Glide needs to be silky smooth. both for the rider and the passenger. That's why the front forks are 49mm dual bending valve models, and the rear is a 76.2 dual outboard emulsion shock with reload adjustability.
So cruising along, national speed limits, bike is stable. Our roads in South Africa are quite bumpy, and I've always found Harleys to be quite aggressive in the kidneys, bouncing. Really, really nice bike to ride over these bumps.
Apart from that, the wheels are cast aluminium with some beautiful design work. So it cruises beautifully, it goes around corners, and so it seems, it stops.
Brakes, they're good. The brakes, the foot brake, nice big pedal. Stomp on it and you can hear it lock up the back, you can hear the ABS kicking in. What else? The front brakes now, nice big long levers, all good.
Then, as is the way with modern motorcycles, especially upmarket ones like this, there's a ton of electronics. Very tasteful electronics.
Dashboard's got this, what look like old analog clocks, sort of from the 80s, might say that, kind of design, if not before then. But everything's on a TFT digital TFT dashboard. And you've got everything, your phone, your navigation, your radio stations, your music controller. You can set up your bike on it. And everything is on these switches all over here. These switches do look quite intimidating, but if you take the time to have a proper look at them, familiarize yourself with them before you get out and go ride, they're actually quite understandable, quite self-explanatory. This bike's also got adaptive cruise control, which you can set up there. Your cruise controls up, and that I quite like. These guys that put the cruise control settings on the right-hand handlebar, now you got to try balance your hand and try get the exact speed you want, and then start pushing buttons, which inevitably end up doing this on the bike, which is that's not lacquer. But Harley being clever, and I see a lot of the other manufacturers starting to do it as well. They put it on the left-hand handlebar, so you can balance there and you can work everything here. Just a hell of a lot easier.
And then we get to the encore, the new motor. It's a Milwaukee 8 117-inch V-twin, which translates into a displacement of 1,923 cubic centimeters. This chucks out 107 horsepower, which isn't spectacular, but couple that with a torque figure of 175 Newton meters, and it all seems to make sense.
So here I'm in 5th gear, I'm about to tilt into a corner. Roll on, let's go. Holy moly. Goodness gracious me. This is really not what you expect a big American iron V-twin to be able to do. What a bike. I actually can't believe that this bike has just done that.
In the past on this show, we have been critical of Harley. For a time, it seemed as though the brand was simply sailing along on its long-standing reputation and image, without much focus on the final product, which seemed to be slipping further and further behind the rest of the world. Obviously, there's been a shake-up in Milwaukee, because the bikes we are seeing now still have that Harley image and feel, but are coupled with a dollop of technology and class. We are glad, because it would have been a shame if the big American iron had slipped away. This Road Glide is available from Zanzi Harley-Davidson for a price starting at 466,000 Rand. That's a big chunk of money, but then again, you get a big chunk of motorcycle for it.